The galaxy had many rules about humans. Every species knew them. Humans came from a death world. Their planet had crushing gravity, burning radiation, and monsters that ate flesh. The air itself could kill with its storms and fires. Yet humans had survived. They had done more than survive. They had conquered their terrible world and reached the stars. Most aliens did not believe the stories. They looked at humans and saw small, soft creatures with no claws, no armor, and no venom. How could such weak beings be dangerous? The aliens laughed at the warnings. They called humans primitive newcomers who did not deserve respect. Commander Veth of the Pelori Enforcement Division thought the same way. She stood 7 feet tall on 6 powerful legs. Her body was covered in hard shell that could stop a blade. Her compound eyes could see in all directions at once. She had served the Galactic Council for 30 years and had never met a species she could not control. Veth was stationed on Waystation 12, a massive space station where thousands of aliens lived and traded. It floated in neutral space, far from any homeworld. Beings from 100 different species walked its corridors every day. They came to buy, sell, and make deals. The station never slept on this particular day. Veth was walking through the main market. Her ceremonial armor gleamed under the artificial lights. Other aliens moved out of her way quickly. No one wanted trouble with an enforcement officer. Not far away, a human family was exploring the market for the first time. Taiho held his daughter's hand tightly as they walked past stalls selling strange foods and stranger machines. Yuna was 8 years old. Her eyes were wide with wonder at everything she saw. She had never been to a space station before. She had never seen so many different kinds of aliens. "Appa, look." Yuna pointed at a merchant selling glowing crystals. "They are so pretty." Taiho smiled at his daughter. "We can look, but stay close to me. This place is very crowded." But Yuna was already pulling toward the crystal stall. A group of large aliens pushed between them, and for just a moment, Taiho lost his grip on her hand. Yuna stumbled forward through the crowd, trying to reach the pretty lights. She did not see Commander Veth until she crashed into her. The impact was small. Yuna barely touched the alien's leg armor. But to Veth, it felt like an insult. A dirty Deathworlder had contaminated her ceremonial uniform. In front of everyone, in her own station, Veth's compound eyes locked onto the small human. Rage built inside her chest. These humans thought they could touch whatever they wanted. They needed to learn their place. "Filthy creature," Veth hissed. Her voice was like rocks grinding together. Yuna looked up at the towering alien. Fear replaced wonder on her small face. "I am sorry." "I did not mean to." Veth did not let her finish. One of her 6 arms shot down and grabbed Yuna by the throat. She lifted the child off the ground like she weighed nothing. Yuna's feet kicked in the air. Her small hands pulled at the alien fingers, crushing her neck. "You dare touch me?" Veth brought her face close to Yuna's. "You Deathworlders need to learn respect." Then she struck the child across the face. Her armored limb hit with terrible force. The hard shell cut through Yuna's soft skin like a knife. Blood sprayed across the market floor. Yuna screamed, a high, terrible sound that echoed through the entire section. Aliens around them stopped and stared. Some looked away. Some watched with interest. None of them moved to help. No one interfered with enforcement officers. That was the rule everyone followed. Veth smiled at the bleeding, crying child in her grip. "Now you will remember to show proper respect to your betters." She did not see Taiho coming. The human father had heard his daughter scream from 50 meters away. Something changed inside him in that moment. Something old and dark woke up. His ancestors had fought lions with spears. They had hunted mammoths across frozen plains. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. That survival instinct lived in his blood. Taiho moved through the crowd like smoke through air. Aliens twice, his size jumped out of his path without knowing why. There was something in his eyes that triggered ancient fear responses in every brain that saw him. Predator, their instincts screamed. Danger. He reached Veth in 4 seconds. The commander did not even see the blow coming. Taiho's fist struck a nerve cluster on the side of her thorax, a spot that humans had learned about from studying pylori anatomy. The strike was precise, fast, and devastating. Veth's legs folded. Her grip on Yuna released. She collapsed to the deck like a puppet with cut strings. Taiho caught his daughter before she could fall. He pulled her close to his chest, one hand pressing against the wound on her face to slow the bleeding. Yuna sobbed into his shoulder, her small body shaking with fear and pain. Around them, the market had gone completely silent. Hundreds of aliens stared at the human male who had just dropped an enforcement officer with a single hit. Their minds struggled to process what they had seen. It should not have been possible. Veth was bigger, stronger, armored. The human was small and soft, but Veth lay on the ground, twitching and helpless. And the human stood over her, holding his wounded child. Taiho looked down at the fallen commander. His face showed no anger, no fear, just cold, absolute certainty. "You made a mistake," he said quietly. "The kind that does not get forgotten." Then he turned and walked away, carrying Yuna toward the medical center. Veth's officers finally rushed forward to help their fallen commander. They called for medical support. They secured the area. But none of them tried to stop Taiho. None of them even considered it. Something in the human's eyes had told them it would be the last thing they ever did. Above the market, 17 security cameras had recorded everything. The footage was already being copied and transmitted. Within minutes, it would reach the Council communication networks. Within hours, it would spread to every human colony in the galaxy. Within days, it would reach Earth. And on Earth, people would watch a 6-limbed alien lift a little girl by her throat and tear open her face. They would see the blood. They would hear the screams. They would watch their child suffer at the hands of a creature who smiled while hurting her. Then they would respond. The pylori did not understand what they had started. Commander Veth thought she had taught a Deathworlder child a lesson about respect. She had no idea that she had just awakened something ancient and terrible. Humans had a saying, "Those who hurt our children do not get to live in peace." The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The Galactic Council Chamber was the largest room ever built by any species. It floated at the center of neutral space, far from any star system. 10,000 seats rose in circles around a central platform. Representatives from hundreds of species filled those seats, each one speaking for billions of their kind. Today, they had gathered to discuss the humans. High Arbiter Moloch sat in the position of honor. He was a Gelrani, a species made of living gel that could change shape at will. His body rippled with colors that showed his emotions. Right now, he glowed with amusement. The humans had requested an emergency session to complain about some small incident. "How cute. We will hear the matter of Waste Station 12, Moloch announced. His voice echoed through the massive chamber. The footage played on screens throughout the room. Every representative watched Commander Veth grab the human child. They watched her strike the girl's face. They watched the blood spray across the market floor. Some species looked uncomfortable. Others showed no reaction at all. A few actually laughed at the sight of the small human suffering. Then the footage showed Taiho dropping Veth with a single blow. The laughter stopped. "The human male assaulted a sanctioned enforcement officer," Moloch declared when the footage ended. His colors shifted to show confidence. Commander Veth was within her rights to discipline a being that violated her person. The child's injuries are regrettable but lawful. The human representative rose from her seat. Her name was Ji-won. She was a small woman with gray hair and simple clothing. Nothing about her looked threatening. She could have been someone's grandmother, but those who had studied humans knew to watch her eyes. Right now, those eyes showed nothing at all. They were empty and cold, like windows into deep space. The Terran Confederation requests custody of Commander Veth, Ji-won said. Her voice was flat and calm. She will face charges under human law for assault on a minor. Laughter filled the chamber. Dozens of species made their amusement known in clicks, whistles, and rumbles. A minor species like humanity making demands? Ridiculous. Mollix's gel body shook with humor. Denied. Commander Veth will face review by Polari authorities. Perhaps she will receive a reduction in rank. This matter is closed. Ji-won stood perfectly still for a long moment. The laughter continued around her. Aliens pointed and mocked. Some made gestures of contempt. Then she nodded slowly. I see. She gathered her documents and walked toward the exit. Her steps were unhurried. Her back was straight. At the doorway, she stopped without turning around. The Terran Confederation formally withdraws from the Galactic Accords. All human vessels, personnel, and assets will evacuate Council space within 72 hours. The laughter died instantly. Mollix's colors shifted to confusion. Representative Ji-won, you cannot simply withdraw. The economic consequences alone. Additionally, Ji-won interrupted, still not turning around. We advise all species to recall their citizens from the Way Station 12 sector. What happens next is not covered by any treaty we once recognized. Then she walked out. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions. Some demanded that the humans be punished for their disrespect. Others looked worried. A few quietly began sending messages to their homeworlds. They are bluffing, Mollix declared loudly. Humans cannot survive without galactic trade. They will come back in a week, begging for readmission. Most species believed him. Humans were new to the stars. They had only been part of the Council for 50 years. Their economy depended on galactic trade routes. Surely they would not sacrifice everything over one injured child. But over the next 3 days, something strange happened. Human ships began leaving Council space. Not in panic or disorder. In perfect formation. Trade vessels, passenger ships, cargo haulers. Everything with a human crew simply departed. Communication channels went silent. Trade agreements were canceled. Human workers abandoned their posts and went home. The aliens watched with growing confusion. This was not a bluff. The humans were actually leaving. Let them go, Mollix said. They will starve without us. In a year, they will beg to return. Other species were not so sure. Some had studied human history. They knew about the world wars, the survival against impossible odds, the terrible weapons humans had built. They knew that humans did not make empty threats. By the third day, Council space felt strangely empty. Trade routes that had been busy for centuries now lay quiet. Stations that had hosted thousands of humans now echoed with silence. Then, on the morning of the fourth day, sensors detected something entering the Polari home system. It was a human ship, not a trade vessel, not a passenger craft. Something else entirely. Something no alien had ever seen before. The ship was called the Kutkaji. In the human language, it meant until the end. It was long and sleek and black, built for speed and violence. Its weapons were hidden inside its hull, but every sensor that scanned it showed enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The Polari defense fleet moved to intercept. 12 warships surrounded the human vessel. demanding identification and surrender. The Kakaji did not respond to their calls. It did not slow down. It simply continued toward the Pelori homeworld, ignoring the warships like they did not exist. "Fire warning shots," the Pelori admiral ordered. Plasma bolts streaked past the human ship. The Kakaji did not change course, target their engines. The warships fired directly at the human vessel. Their weapons hit nothing but empty space. The Kakaji had moved faster than their targeting systems could track dot inside the human ship. Captain Doyen watched the Pelori response on his tactical display. His face showed no concern. These aliens had spent thousands of years fighting wars with rules and honor. They announced their attacks. They gave warnings. They expected surrender. Humans did not fight that way. "How long until we reach drop position?" Dohyun asked. 4 hours, Lieutenant Murray replied. The Pelori have moved Commander Veth to their citadel. 14 levels underground. 8,000 guards. Dawn nodded. "Tell the crew to eat well and rest. Tomorrow we go to work." Behind him, 200 soldiers of the Terran Special Reaction Division prepared their equipment. Every one of them had volunteered for this mission. Every one of them had watched the footage of Yuna's attack. Every one of them knew exactly why they were here. They were not here to negotiate. They were not here to threaten. They were here to deliver a message that the galaxy would never forget. On the Pelori homeworld, Commander Veth sat in her protected chamber deep beneath the citadel. She had been told she was safe. 8,000 of her species' best warriors surrounded her. No force in the galaxy could breach such defenses. She almost believed it. But sometimes, late at night, she remembered the look in Taiho's eyes. That cold certainty. That absolute promise of consequence. "You made a mistake," he had said. The kind that does not get forgotten. Veth told herself she was being foolish. The humans could not reach her here. It was impossible, but somewhere in her mind, a small voice whispered that humans had always done impossible things. The voice was right. The Pelori homeworld was called Pelax. It was a gentle planet with low gravity and calm weather. No earthquakes shook its surface. No hurricanes swept its oceans. The air was thick and warm, perfect for the six-limbed beings who had evolved there. The Pelori had never known hardship. Their world had given them everything they needed. Food grew easily. Predators were small and weak. War had never touched their civilization because they had never needed to fight for survival. This made them confident. It also made them blind. Commander Veth sat in her secure room 14 levels below the citadel. The fortress rose from the center of the capital city like a mountain of metal and stone. Its walls could withstand nuclear strikes. Its shields could block orbital bombardment. 8,000 of the finest Pelori warriors filled its corridors. "You are completely safe," the High General assured her. "No force in the galaxy can breach these defenses." Veth wanted to believe him. She had spent the last few days telling herself that the humans were just trying to scare her. They would not actually attack a Council species homeworld. The consequences would be too severe. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw that human father's face. The emptiness in his eyes. The certainty in his voice. "The human ship is still in orbit," an aide reported. "It has made no aggressive moves." "Of course not," the High General said. "They are realizing they cannot win. Soon they will leave." Above the planet, the Kachi drifted silently through space. Captain Dohyun stood on the command deck, studying the citadel through enhanced sensors. He could see every corridor, every guard post, every locked door between his position and Commander Veth. "Drop pods are ready," Lieutenant Mireille reported. 200 soldiers standing by. Dohyun checked the time. It was 03:55 local time on Pelax, the darkest hour before dawn. The time when guards were most tired and alert was lowest. Begin operation. The Kubduji's hull opened along its belly. 200 metal pods dropped into the atmosphere, each one carrying a human soldier in full combat armor. The pods were built to survive re-entry temperatures that would melt normal metal. They fell toward the planet like shooting stars. Pelori sensors detected them too late. Incoming objects. An operator screamed. 200 contacts falling toward the Citadel. The defense batteries opened fire, but the pods were too fast and too small. They dodged through the plasma bolts like insects avoiding a hand. One by one, they slammed into the ground around the Citadel. The doors blew off. Human soldiers emerged into the night. They were nothing like the soft, weak creatures the Pelori had expected. Their armor made them into walking weapons. Enhanced strength allowed them to lift 10 times their body weight. Enhanced speed let them move faster than Pelori eyes could track. Their weapons fired projectiles that punched through shell armor like it was paper. The outer guards died before they could raise an alarm. Captain Doyen led the breach team himself. His boots hit the ground, and he was already running. Behind him, 50 of his best soldiers followed in perfect formation. Breach points Alpha through Delta, Myri reported in his ear. All teams are inside. The Citadel had been designed to stop armies. It had walls within walls, gates within gates. Each level had its own defenses. The Pelori believed it would take weeks for any invading force to fight through all of them. The humans cleared the outer walls in 4 minutes. They did not fight like the Pelori expected. There were no battle lines, no formal engagements, no honorable exchanges. The humans moved like water through cracks, appearing where they were not expected and vanishing before the Pelori could respond. Guards fired their weapons at shadows and hid nothing. Reinforcements rushed toward one breach, only to find humans already behind them. Command posts were destroyed before orders could be given. Level 1 secure, Myri reported. Moving to Level 2. Doheen's team reached a heavy blast door. It was designed to stop explosives and energy weapons. A Pelori squad had taken position behind it, confident in their protection. Cutting charge, Doheen ordered. A soldier placed a small device on the door. White-hot plasma began eating through the metal. The Pelori guards watched in horror as a hole appeared in their unbreakable barrier. Then a flash grenade came through the hole. The Pelori were blinded by light brighter than their sun. Human soldiers poured through the opening, their armor filtering the brightness. The guards were down before their vision returned. Level 2 secure. 9 minutes elapsed. Deep below, Commander Veth heard the alarms and felt fear like she had never known. Explosions shook the Citadel. Screams echoed through the corridors. The humans were coming, and nothing was stopping them. "We must evacuate you," the High General said. His confidence was gone, replaced by naked terror. "The emergency shuttle bay is on Level 12. If we move now..." An explosion cut off his words. The lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Level 8 has fallen," a voice reported on the communication system. "Level 9 is under attack. All units to defensive positions." But there were no defensive positions that mattered. The humans moved too fast. They knew exactly where to strike and when. It was like they could see through walls. They could. Human sensors had mapped every inch of the Citadel before the attack began. Dalhun's team reached Level 10. 50 Pelori elites blocked their path, the best warriors the species had produced. They stood in formation, weapons ready, determined to stop the human advance. The firefight lasted 23 seconds. Human reflexes operated on timescales the Pelori could not match. Before an alien could aim, a human had already fired. Before a guard could dodge, a bullet had already struck. The elites fell like grass before a harvester. Level 10 secure. 18 minutes elapsed. Commander Veth ran through the underground corridors, the High General at her side. Behind her, she could hear the sounds of battle growing closer. Screams, explosions, the crack of human weapons. How is this possible? She gasped. We had 8,000 soldiers. The High General did not answer. He had stopped running. He was staring at something ahead of them. A human soldier stood in the corridor, blocking their path. His armor was scorched from plasma hits, but undamaged. His weapon was pointed directly at Veth. Commander Veth, the soldier said calmly. Captain Do-Yun wants to speak with you. More humans emerged from the shadows behind them. They were surrounded. The High General raised his weapon. I will not let you take. A single shot dropped him to the floor. Not dead, but unconscious. The humans did not waste lives when they did not have to. Veth stood alone, surrounded by Deathworlders. Her compound eyes darted from face to face, looking for any escape. There was none. 22 minutes elapsed, Murray's voice said through the soldier's helmet. New record. The soldier smiled behind his visor. The captain is waiting, he said, and gestured for Veth to walk. She had no choice. Above. The Pelori defense fleet finally gathered enough courage to approach the Kutkaji. They demanded the human surrender. They threatened total destruction. The human ship sent one reply, pick up your wounded. We are leaving soon. Then it went silent. In the ruins of the citadel, Captain Do-Yun waited for his prey. The hunt was almost over. Now came the reckoning. Commander Veth walked through the broken corridors of her own citadel. Human soldiers surrounded her on all sides. Their weapons were not pointed at her, but she knew that meant nothing. These creatures could kill her in a heartbeat if she tried to run. The fortress she had believed unbreakable lay in ruins around her. Bodies of Pelori guards littered the floors. Some were dead. Most were just unconscious. The humans had not come to slaughter. They had come for her. That almost made it worse. In here, a soldier said, gesturing toward a large chamber. Veth stepped through the doorway and stopped. The room had been a command center. Now it was empty, except for one figure standing in the shadows. Captain Do-Hyun stepped into the light. He was smaller than Veth by 2 feet. His armor was scorched and dented from the battle. His face was visible through his open visor, showing human features that should have looked weak and soft. They did not look weak. His eyes held something ancient and terrible, something that made Veth's survival instinct scream. Do you know why we are here? Do-Hyun asked. His voice was quiet and calm. Veth tried to sound confident. You are here to start a war you cannot win. The Galactic Council will destroy your species for this attack. The Council abandoned you when we withdrew from the Accords. Their laws do not protect you anymore. Do-Hyun began walking in a slow circle around her. Our laws do. Your laws mean nothing to me. I am a sanctioned officer of the... You are a creature who attacked a child. Do-Hyun's voice did not rise, but something in it made Veth stop talking. An 8-year-old girl bumped into you by accident, and you grabbed her throat. You lifted her off the ground. You tore open her face while she screamed for her father. Veth's compound eyes followed him as he circled. She touched my armor. She needed to learn respect. Respect. Do-Hyun stopped walking. Let me tell you about respect, Commander. He stepped closer. Veth tried to step back, but soldiers blocked her retreat. On Earth, we have creatures called wolves. They are pack hunters. Very dangerous. But even wolves do not harm the pups of other packs without reason. Even animals understand that children are sacred. I am not an animal, Veth hissed. No, you are worse. Animals kill for food or territory. You hurt a child because she made you feel disrespected. Do-Hyun's eyes never blinked. That makes you something lower than any beast. Fear began to crack through Veth's arrogance. She looked around at the human soldiers. Their faces showed no anger, no hatred, just cold, professional focus. That was more terrifying than rage would have been. "What do you want?" she asked. "Ransom? Political concessions? Name your price and the Pelori will pay. We do not want money." Dahyun reached into his armor and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the air. It was Yuna's face. The wound was fresh and bleeding. Her eyes were full of terror and pain. She was crying for her father. "Look at her," Dahyun said. Veth looked away. "Look at her!" The command cracked through the room like thunder. Veth forced herself to look at the image. The human child stared back at her, frozen in a moment of suffering. "She will carry that scar for the rest of her life," Dahyun said. "The doctors could remove it, but she asked to keep it. Do you know why?" Veth did not answer. "So she will remember. So she will never forget what the galaxy did to her when she was small and helpless and far from home." Dahyun turned off the hologram. "You gave her that memory. Now we will give you one." He nodded to his soldiers. Two of them stepped forward and grabbed Veth's arms. "Under human law," Dahyun said, "you have been found guilty of assault on a minor. The punishment is death. You cannot do this." Veth screamed. "I am a council officer. My government will demand justice. Your government abandoned you. The council laughed when we asked for your arrest. They said the matter was closed." Dahyun drew a blade from his belt. It was not a weapon of war. It was something older, something ceremonial. They were wrong. Veth struggled against the soldiers holding her, but their enhanced strength made her efforts useless. She was helpless in their grip, just as Yuna had been helpless in hers. "Please," she begged. "I did not know. I did not understand. I will apologize. I will pay reparations. Please, do not do this." Dahyun paused. "When Yuna begged you to stop, did you listen?" Veth had no answer. "When she screamed in pain, did you feel mercy?" Silence. "When her blood covered the floor, did you feel regret?" Veth remembered that moment. She remembered smiling as the child bled. She remembered feeling powerful and satisfied. The memory was written on her face. Dahyun saw it. "That is what I thought." He stepped forward with the blade. The execution was quick and clean. Dahyun was not cruel. He did not make Veth suffer more than necessary. One precise strike separated her head from her body. It was over in a second. "Package it for transport," he ordered. "The council needs to see this." A soldier brought a stasis case. The head was placed inside, preserved perfectly so that every representative in the galaxy could see Commander Veth's final expression. "Captain," Moray's voice came through the communication system. "Extraction shuttles are ready. Pelori reinforcements will arrive in 15 minutes. All teams, move to extraction points," Dahyun commanded. "We are leaving." The human soldiers moved out in perfect order. They carried their wounded and left the Pelori wounded for their own people to find. In total, 3,000 Pelori had been injured in the attack. 212 had died. Most of those deaths had come from guards who refused to surrender. The humans had tried to keep the body count low. This was not a war. This was an execution. A message. A warning. 7 minutes later, the CounciHFY broke orbit and jumped to faster than light speed. By the time Pelori reinforcements arrived, the human ship was already gone. On the surface, Pelori officials moved through the ruined citadel in shock. Their greatest fortress had fallen in less than 30 minutes. Their best warriors had been defeated by a force. Less than 1/40th their size. And Commander Veth was gone. News of the attack spread across the galaxy within hours. Every species heard the story. 200 humans had invaded a homeworld, destroyed an impenetrable fortress. and taken exactly what they came for. Then they had simply left. The message was clear. The humans had not come for conquest. They had not come for resources or territory. They had come for one specific person who had hurt one specific child, and they had gotten her dot in the council chamber. High Arbiter Mollix received the news with growing horror. The Pelori were demanding war. Other species were demanding answers. Everyone wanted to know what would happen next. No one knew, but everyone was afraid. On Earth, Yuna watched the news reports with her father. She did not fully understand what had happened. She only knew that the alien who had hurt her was gone now. "Appa," she said quietly. "Is it over?" Taiho held his daughter close. "Almost, little one, almost." 1 week later, Representative Jiwan would return to the Galactic Council. She would bring a message that would change the galaxy forever, and she would bring Commander Veth's head. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every known species packed the massive room. Some had traveled for weeks to be here. No one wanted to miss what would happen next. High Arbiter Mollix floated at the center, his gel body shifting through colors of anger and fear. He had called this emergency session to condemn the human attack on Palax. The Pelori demanded war. Other species demanded answers. The galaxy needed order restored. The human podium stood empty. "The humans have committed an act of war," Mollix declared. His voice boomed through the chamber. They invaded a council homeworld. They killed hundreds of Pelori citizens. They murdered a sanctioned enforcement officer. This cannot stand. Cheers erupted from the Pelori section. Other species made sounds of agreement. The humans had gone too far. They needed to be punished. "We will issue a formal declaration of war against the Terran Confederation," Mollix continued. "All human assets in council space will be seized. All trade will be banned. They will learn that the galaxy does not tolerate barbarism." More cheering. More agreement. The galaxy was united against the human threat. Then the doors opened. Representative Jiwan walked into the chamber alone. Her gray hair was neatly arranged. Her simple clothing had not changed. Her face showed no emotion at all. Behind her came Captain Do-hyun, still wearing his battle-scarred armor. 2 soldiers followed him, carrying a stasis case between them. The chamber fell silent. Jiwan walked to the human podium and stood before the galaxy. 10,000 eyes watched her. She seemed untroubled by the attention. "The Terran Confederation has returned Commander Veth to council custody," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "As per your request during our last session, she has faced disciplinary review under her own species customs." Confusion rippled through the chamber. What did that mean? Do-hyun opened the stasis case. Inside, preserved in gel, was Commander Veth's head. Her compound eyes were frozen wide open. Her mandibles were locked in an expression of absolute terror. Every detail was perfectly preserved. For a moment, the chamber was completely silent. Then chaos erupted. Species screamed in 100 different languages. Some fled toward the exits. Others collapsed in shock. The Pelori section exploded in rage and grief. Representatives shouted accusations and demands. "Barbarism!" Mollix's voice cut through the noise. His body turned blood red with fury. "This is murder! This is a war crime! The humans will be destroyed for this." "No," Jiwan said simply. The single word somehow carried over all the chaos. The chamber slowly quieted as beings turned to look at the small human woman who showed no fear. "This is not barbarism," Jiwan continued. "This is a message." She stepped forward, and somehow the movement commanded attention. Every eye in the chamber locked onto her small form. Commander Veth attacked a human child, an 8-year-old girl who bumped into her by accident. She grabbed the child's throat. She tore open her face. She smiled while doing it. Jiwan's voice remained flat and emotionless. When we asked this council for justice, you laughed. You said the child's blood was lawful. You dismissed us as a minor species with no power. She paused, letting the words sink in. You were wrong. Mollix recovered enough to speak. You cannot dictate terms to this council. We are the authority in this galaxy. You are nothing but. We are Deathworlders. Jiwan's voice cut through his objection like a blade. Our species spent 200,000 years learning to survive on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We fought predators with our bare hands. We tamed fire and split the atom. We conquered diseases that killed billions. We went to our moon because we wanted to see if we could. She looked around the chamber, meeting thousands of alien eyes. And when our children are threatened, there is no force in this galaxy that will stop us from answering. Silence hung in the air. Even Mollix had stopped speaking. G1 produced a data chip from her pocket. The Terran Confederation is willing to rejoin the Galactic Accords. Under new terms. She placed the chip on her podium. A holographic display appeared, showing text that every species could read. Article 1. Any attack on a human child, anywhere in Council space, will be treated as an act of war against the Terran Confederation. Article 2. Human citizens will receive full protection under galactic law, equal to any founding species. Article 3. The Pelori hegemony will pay reparations to the family of Yuna in the amount specified. The list continued. 15 articles in total, each one designed to guarantee human safety and dignity. These terms are unacceptable. A Pelori representative shouted. You murdered our officer. You invaded our homeworld. We demand justice. You had your chance for justice, G1 replied. We asked for it. You laughed. Now justice has been served our way. This is not justice. This is revenge. Perhaps. G1's expression never changed. But Commander Veth will never hurt another child. Can you say the same about your officers? The Pelori had no answer. You have one standard rotation to accept our terms, G1 concluded. After that, we begin having longer conversations. With everyone who voted to dismiss Yuna's suffering. With everyone who laughed at a little girl's blood. She looked directly at Mollix. We remember who laughed, High Arbiter. We remember everything. Then she turned and walked toward the exit. Do-hyun and his soldiers followed, leaving the stasis case and its contents behind. At the doorway, Ji-won paused. Oh, and one more thing. She turned back to face the chamber. The next time one of your species considers hurting a human child, I suggest they remember this day. Remember what we did. Remember how far we traveled and what we risked. Her eyes swept the room one final time. We will always come for our children. Always. Then she was gone. The data chip sat on the podium, glowing softly. 10,000 aliens stared at it in silence. The head of Commander Veth stared at nothing. Preserved forever in her final moment of fear, within 6 hours. Every article was ratified unanimously. 3 months later, Yuna stood on the observation deck of her family's new home. The colony world was called New Bizon. It was a beautiful place with blue skies and gentle waves. The scar on her cheek had faded to a thin white line. The doctors could have removed it completely. Yuna had asked to keep it. So I remember, she had told her father. Taiho stood beside her now, watching ships move through the sky above. Alien vessels of every kind came and went. All of them gave human ships extra space. A sign of respect that had not existed before. Appa, Yuna said quietly, are we the bad guys? Taiho thought carefully before answering. His daughter deserved the truth. No, little one. We are not the bad guys. But we are not the good guys either. He knelt beside her. We are the ones who protect each other. Sometimes that means doing hard things. Like what Captain Do-yoon did. Yes, like that. Yuna watched a Pelori trading ship carefully navigate past a human patrol craft. The aliens kept their distance, moving with obvious caution. Good, she said finally. They should be scared of us. Taiho smiled sadly. Not scared, respectful. There is a difference. Fear makes enemies. Respect makes careful neighbors. Yuna thought about this for a long moment. Then she nodded. Above them, the stars burned on in their ancient light. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers. But somewhere out there, every species now knew an important truth. Human children were protected. Hurt them. And the Deathworlders would come. They would always come. And they would never stop until justice was done. That was not a threat. It was a promise.